Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's video, I am going to be asking the group some questions and seeing what they think about these baseball card topics. In this video, you have me, Scott, Ty, Jeff, and Chris. All right, fellas. So what I have here, not really questions. I have statements. And an example of a statement, let me find one I'm not actually going to ask. That's not going to ruin anything. I don't have one. Let's just say hypothetically, Bowman Sapphire is better than Bowman Chrome. And then you raise on scale of 1 to 5. You say 1, I don't agree. 5, I agree. And we're going to do it at the same time. So that way we can't persuade each other to feel a specific way. And then we'll discuss from there. So very first question. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be the next big hobby to rise in 2025. You don't raise him yet? Raise him. You think about it for a second. So that way you can't be like, oh, I didn't think about it. Raise him in 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, pretty good consensus. I don't think any of us are ready to go on a limb for Vlad is what it sounds like.
Yeah, next big thing, no, I don't know. And he's got a long way to go to recover his large drop. So that keeps me hesitant.
Yeah, I did announce at the beginning or after April that I was 100% out on Guerrero, and only to watch him turn around and miraculously find a swing him. Go figure.
Don't you dare say you're in again, because you're going to screw that.
So I've crept up a little bit. But yeah, he's got to do this for another season. And next year is obviously extremely important for him. His team tanked this year. Next year, he's going to be in his walk year. So he's got to decide where he wants to play, if he wants to stay in Toronto, if he wants to put up huge numbers and then just sit back and let a bidding war happen around him. So he's got a lot of pressure on him next year. And it'll be, I don't know. I think he's keep the hair short and the numbers should stay up.
So let me show you something real quick. This is always something that's interesting to do. So here is Vlad Sr. versus Vlad Jr. through age 25. It's pretty interesting. Like, yes, we all kind of feel like, oh, Vlad's burnt out, but he's doing pretty good compared to his old man. Yeah, he has better batting average. His OPS is way higher, but OPS plus is relatively close, about 10 points away, 9 points away. It's interesting. This year for Vlad, he's having a fantastic year. 164 OPS plus, 28 home runs. I want to see how he's doing at home, because I always talk about that. At home, he has a 998 OPS. He fixed his biggest issue of his entire career this year.
And if you did splits by month, it would be interesting too, because if he put a full season together like he has the last 3 months, he'd be in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, he's slowed down in September, it looks like, but yeah, he was a monster in July and August.
Yep.
Okay, so that was the question number 1. Ty, any thoughts?
I just think he's got a lot of competition in the AL and in baseball in general for eyes on him. And he's down. I'm looking at market movers. He's down on his Bowman Chrome Auto Refractor BGS 9.5, 37% in the last year. And over the last 180 days is basically flat. So he's had a bounce back year. Nobody in the hobby's really cared from a card perspective. I don't see anything happening in the offseason to get people super pumped about it. And then when it comes down to it, he's got to go back up against guys like Judge, Witt, Gunnar, Soto, etc. You know, even Devers and Jose Ramirez and others. So, I mean, I don't see him getting into that top echelon of the spotlight again. And if he doesn't, the best case scenario is he hovers, and the worst case is
the good news is he's still young. So
25
for him. He is. Yeah, just keep putting up 30, 35 home runs every single. If he can get to 30, I shouldn't assume he's going to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's only done that twice in 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah,
one of which is COVID, so that's not fair. But
yeah, his hits, he's on a good hit track. I will say the one card of his that I've noticed, and maybe you guys have too, that has maybe ticked up slightly, but has maintained a pretty high level of interest even for him from like 2 years ago, is the SSP, the holding his ball. That'd be very no S on the end of that. From 29 update, I think the PSA 10 of that broke 2,000 recently. So I mean that card is still, it's so incredibly rare that one seems to still be maybe the one Guerrero that collectors are still fighting over a little bit.
Yeah. All right, next question. Topps Dynasty will become the go-to brand for rookies in the next 5 years. So it is the #1 set that collectors and investors are targeting. Raise your hand, and this is excluding Bowman Chrome firsts, because that's obvious. I don't think it's going to overtake Bowman Chrome first, and I don't think
it's rookie card. So
rookie cards, just pure rookie cards. All right, raise your hand. 3, 2, 1, now. Ty and I are believers. Okay, this is a good one to talk about. Ty, why are you a believer?
Go look at what's been happening with Dynasty Soccer that came out this year, and it is utterly nuclear. $3,500 a box for a single card. All of the cards and autos selling for $800 or more. Big price points. Soccer's big. I think the migration into Dynasty is happening. I think soccer sort of teased that out. We've seen slow, steady growth on everything Dynasty. John Smoltz Dynasty patch autos that used to cost $80 to $110 are now up to $250, $300. Everything in Dynasty has gone up, and brace yourselves. The basketball and football hype boys are coming.
No.
They're coming into baseball, and
they don't give a crap about Topps.
Now the good news is
They do care about Topps.
for those who don't care about Dynasty today, then maybe they won't care in the future. But I see us a year and a half from now playing some Frank Sinatra regrets. I've had a few, to everybody saying, I wish I would have bought some more Dynasty cards before they 5x'd to ridiculous prices like basketball and football cards. I think it's going to be big. I think it's going to be big.
I'll give my thoughts really
and I
quickly.
still only own one Dynasty card. So full disclosure, I'm not pumping this to profit myself. I own a John Smoltz and that's it.
I own 2. I own a Soto Dynasty RPA out of 5 that I like, and I own a Larry Walker
that I like.
But I do like that one too. But I will say the reason why I believe in it is because I've been looking at rookie cards of a few players in the last few years, and these are the ones I'm gravitating towards outside of Bowman Chrome first. Like everything else is just too confusing and convoluted to me at this point in regards to like identifying what is the iconic one. Yes, Topps Chrome Golds are cool, but can you imagine like if Mike Trout had a Dynasty RPA? Like it would crush all of his rookie cards. Like I know, Jeff, you shrugged your shoulders.
Maybe.
Yeah, and maybe like that's the thing is like that's a hypothetical, but I do think there's a good chance. So that's my thoughts. Maybe 5 was very bullish of me, but that's the card I would like of a player myself right now if I was buying one.
I'll just say I would have been 1. The only reason I put 2 is because for 7 years I've been aboard that train thinking that baseball would catch up to basketball and football in terms of RPAs being a big hit. And it hasn't happened yet, but I guess I'm still holding out that thought that might happen. I know now once Topps has the license for everything. But like Scott said that they don't care about Topps Chrome. I do think football fans and basketball fans do care about Topps
That
Chrome.
was a bad example. Let's say a different one. Let's say Topps Flagship or Bowman Chrome. Like they don't care about those. Maybe that was a better example. Like the Bowman Chrome rookie autographs, they don't care about those as much. Topps Chrome is they have love towards it. Maybe not.
I mean, I like the idea of Dynasty. I wish they would be a little bit more judicious with both the images and the patches, making sure there's specific game used patches from specific events, which would really help. And having multiple images, I think dilutes it. I know
I agree with that.
Rookie players have 5, 6 images. So then you say, well, which one is the iconic one? 9. Okay. Adley had 9. I think it came up in a discussion we had.
Last year was 9.
Yeah.
And the cost, I believe, is going to be a little bit prohibitive to be the rookie card. Teapot said what he said about soccer. If it's $3,500 a box, I mean, you're really pricing out a lot of people out. So I don't know if it can be the card. So that's what my hesitancy is.
Okay. Chris, anything to add to what Jeff said?
Well, yeah, I mean, soccer should outsell every other. Isn't soccer the most popular sport in the entire world? I mean, it should be the most expensive product. Once they get Messi autos in there, I mean,
they do.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So I mean, that makes perfect sense. That makes total sense. I just don't know. I don't know what it is about Dynasty. Like the thing that Jeff said, I agree with the most. Is what are these patches from? Sure, they look cool, but like, you know, when were they worn? Like, give me a date. And like, why Dynasty? Why not like definitive? Why not? I think is triple thread still a set? Why not the Topps Reverence inserts? I mean, Bowman Chrome has rookie patch autos in their sets as well. They're really hard to find, but they're in there.
Can I give you answers for each of those?
Sure.
Triple threads, great set, not on card. They're sticker autographs.
Okay.
That's the first one. RPAs and Bowman Chrome are usually going to be minor league uniforms or spring training. So that's not going to be cared about. Definitive, not a single card product. It has a horizontal and a vertical RPA. Dynasty's doing that now, but a little bit different. And on top of that, they have base on-card autographs, and that's why. Plus Definitive and what's the other one? They compete with each other. Diamond Icons. They cannibalize each other. What was the other one you said? Those are like my opinion.
Reverence, but that's out of
Reverence
top
are
paper
cool.
that nobody
Those
even
things
knows
are
what
just
those cards are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and on
You
top
don't
of
see 'em
that,
very
packages
often.
are really small, and they're too rare, I would say, to
Yeah, they
have
are. They're
that.
too rare
There's only
right
like
now
10 of
to-
them for each player,
yeah.
no multiples. So that's my thoughts. But you have a great point, and I agree with you. Topps needs to trim down the fat on their high end and make one product like the best.
Yeah,
That would
well,
help.
I'll say this about Panini products. Panini has many of these products. I brought this point up before. So we say Dynasty. I think Dynasty will be the one that people talk about the most because it is a single card product and it's got a definitive identity. And it's kind of that just go for broke, one card quick rip type thing that I think people like. I don't think it having 9 or 10 cards on the checklist hurts it personally because that's still only 90 copies total of numbered to 10s. And then you got the 5s and the 1s. I think people don't mind that. And then, Panini has National Treasures. Panini has Flawless. Those two are able to hold a very high place in people's minds. And then they have tiers below that, like Impeccable and Immaculate and other stuff. So, oh, here comes my little guy. What's up, buddy? All right, he's making.
What does he think about Dynasty?
Yeah.
Dynasty for the win?
Look at that red hair.
Hashtag invest. All right. So I'll pause myself while you guys keep debating the merits of Dynasty.
I think it's debated. I think we're good to move on. I think we're good. Okay, with that being said, next question. Should we wait for Ty? I say let's go forward. What do you guys
Let's
think?
go forward. Let's just move forward. We don't know how long he's going to be.
This is one that's concerned me for a long time. Like, this is a true concern I have in sports cards, okay? And I have 3 more questions. Let's be quick, so I don't want to take too long. But this question: all autographs will fade with time, and it is dumb to collect them. All right. So take a second.
2 things there. So how do I vote on this?
Just figure it out. You can do it.
Okay.
I am not questioning that all autographs will fade. I'm saying all autographs are going to fade. So is it dumb to collect them?
Okay, so is it dumb to collect them is what we're voting on. 5 would mean it's dumb, and 1 means it's not dumb.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, 5. You agree is 5. If you disagree, it's 1. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. So you guys aren't concerned about that. That's like a huge concern I have. Maybe it's irrational, but you ever see those Bowman Chrome autographs of like superstars and they are just faded and look like crap? Like that has to, it's from being in dealer showcases, but like that just hurts. I was looking at a Mookie Betts. I'm like, I don't want to touch that card because the autograph's gone and I will never want to own that card. And so that's a true concern if that ever happens. We saw greening in the 90s. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think, Ty?
I don't think it's dumb to collect them. I do think autos fade. Hopefully not too much, but they do. Probably should be locked up, put into a vault, put into a case, put into somewhere where they're not fading in the sunlight. But I don't know. People collect rookie cards of Miguel Cabrera that aren't really him and of Jackson Merrill. So maybe it's cool someday to collect an auto that no longer has an auto on it. I don't know.
Well, autographs in the future that don't have autos have value because we knew that one time a player did sign it 150 years ago.
Maybe. People literally paid money for a card called the Next Day Auto of Victor Wembanyama from Hoops that doesn't have an autograph.
That's a good point. I remember that, Ty.
So,
okay, that's a good point. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I just think we all have to be really judicious with how we take care of our autographs. Like Ty said, you can't put them on shelves. These cards are not autographed behind me. You can't keep them out. Like it stinks that we don't get to look at our stuff as often, but we can take pictures. But yeah, and I think, 50 years from now, if on the off chance that any card we currently have is worth some money, we should, we should be keeping these cards extra safe. And the ones that have the bolder autos are going to be, because there should be a premium on them. Because you're right. I mean, over an infinite timeline, even in the dark, like these autographs are going to fade away. But, you know, I don't think it's going to happen anytime in a timeline that would matter unless you keep it out in the light. Then it should be fine in a box or in a safety deposit box.
This is the future, guys. It's Donruss, by the way.
Yeah.
The no autograph for $500 raw card.
Well, I think this is more of an issue to Scott because he's younger, so he's got a longer time horizon. The reason I went with 2 instead of 1 is because I think, and Chris alluded to this, you do have to be careful about which ones you buy. If you're, it's not dumb to collect autos, but it might be dumb to buy one that's already starting to show signs of fading. So
yes,
no. So I think it's, for all practical purposes, it's a great way to collect autographs. You know, the player had the card, especially if it's on card. You know, the player had the card, touched the card. It's a way to sort of keep that connection to a player. So I think it's a great way to collect, and I would not be overly concerned.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, guys. You eased my mind. 2 more questions. Let me find it real quick. Okay. Shohei Otani will pitch in the World Series, win the World Series MVP, and become even more legendary. Wow. Not really card related.
3 things, huh?
Oh, you guys. We can cut that question.
Let's leave it. Let's go.
Let's do it. You want to? Okay. Raise your hand in 3, 2, 1. Now, if the Dodgers get to the World Series, he's pitching. In my opinion, he's pitching.
I thought absolutely not. There's no way they would risk it. But I was watching MLB Now, their episode today, and like they were all like, Joe Madden was even like, absolutely. If he says he can go and he's not feeling anything, they're going to use him because their pitching staff is pretty depleted. The no Tyler Glasnow thing is a big loss for them. That's a huge deal. Bueller is himself. Bobby Miller is just god awful. I don't understand how someone can throw that hard and be that bad. And Evan Phillips has forgotten how to pitch as well. Like, it's amazing. Like, I talk about the Braves got depleted by injuries pretty brutally, but for the Dodgers pitching staff, it's almost like incompetence more than anything else.
I'm not sure we're voting. I'm not sure we're voting on the same thing because you're that confident that they're going to make the World Series and he's going to be the World Series MVP, Chris. That's why I was a 3 because I just don't.
Well, okay.
I should see that the Dodgers are going to get there. If they're going to get there, if they get to the World Series, yes, I would absolutely bet he pitches.
Let's rephrase this question. The Dodgers get to the World Series, and Otani's pitching. I don't know. Keep going. There's no way to rephrase
the World Series. Yes, I absolutely think he could win the MVP. Even
Corbin Carroll sleeps 9 hours on a Tuesday. And
are his stats better or worse? And how does that impact this card? I'm just saying, I think, like, can you imagine? We saw the WBC, Otani striking out Trout to end the whole thing. Yeah. Imagine Game 7, we bring Otani out of the bullpen to face Judge and Soto, bases loaded, strikes them both out. Like,
now that's a 1 because
it's not going to happen. We would have said that Japan facing the U.S. wouldn't happen with Trout being there.
No. There's no way the Dodgers face the Yankees in the World Series.
Let me ask you a question. How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to say is, tell me the last time the 2 favorites going into the playoffs actually made it to the World Series to face each other. It just never happens. It's probably like negative odds. It's probably never happened. I don't know. I said a 3 just because of the layers of dependencies. I think they would let him pitch toward the back half of the series if there was a reason for him to pitch. But I don't think they're going to risk him going out and injuring his arm again and then not being able to hit in the series if he doesn't need to do that. So if it was showtime, truly, in Game 7 or even in an elimination game, and they have a chance to put him away, maybe he does it. I don't know. And if he does, oh baby, watch out. His cards are going to go up more than Dynasty cards.
Great. Okay, good. Okay, 2 very quick ones. 90s and early 2000s cards will perform better in the long run than ultra modern, which we can say is 2019 to now. Those cards are going to be more sought after. People are going to care about them. They're going to be iconic more so than any cards or any, you know what I'm saying? Like the eras, that one is going to dominate over today. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm sold on it. I think it's happening. The age group is already moving towards it, in my opinion. And
I don't know.
I'm sold on it. But okay, what do you think, Chris? What's your thoughts?
I hadn't thought about it, so that's why I'm right down the middle. I don't know. I think most of the ultra modern stuff that's coming out right now is junk. Like no one's gonna care about Cactus Jack or these Garbage Pail Kids in a few years. Like no one's gonna want that. No one's gonna want Topps Pristine or Cosmic or whatever the hell else Topps keeps churning out. But it's hard to say like all of it, because there are still going to be like really important cards if some of these players turn out to be as important as we think. I can't just say that Otani cards won't be as desired as like late 90s cards. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I think Otani alone could prop up the entire.
That's why I'm a 1.
But Otani could prop up the entire generation of cards just by being what he is.
Okay.
So I don't know. Not all of his cards, mind you, but the important ones.
Anything to add, Jeff? You want to move on to the last question?
Go ahead, Jeff. I would just like to add that people like our age, like, well, Chris and I, who lived through and watched a lot of these players in the 80s, 90s, I think there's going to be a huge demand for them, and there will always be a demand for them. But I think also people love to collect guys they can watch play. And so I think that's going to keep the ultra modern propped up. You get guys like Judge and Otani. Yes, there's going to be 95% of their cards that are worthless, but that still leaves a huge amount of cards that are going to be sought after. So I just can't see it ever be overtaking ultra modern. Even 10 years from now or 20 years, when that becomes ultra modern, I feel like that's still going to be the strongest collected at the time.
One thing we could see is it feels like it takes some time for things to catch on, trends, right? Comes back in style. There could be a time when a lot of the ultra modern now isn't as sought after, just like the late 2010s, late 2000s wasn't very sought after, and it might be coming back. We might see that, and then in 20 years, it's just as popular again. So
I thought of this maybe through a little bit of a different lens, and the way I thought about it is if you were to take all the cards from the 90s to the early 2000s, like Scott said, and put them into an index and track the total value today, the theoretical value of all those cards, and do the same thing with the 100 times more cards from the last 5 years that have been created, and you're pick a number, $100,000 into those index in each of them, which one's going to perform better over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I think it's the 90s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s stuff by a landslide, because this stuff comes down. So I was thinking about it from like a price appreciation perspective, as opposed to like cherry picking Otani out. Of course, the generational great Otani is going to outperform Larry Walker over the next 10 years. No offense, Scott.
Why don't you get like Ken Griffey
across all of their cards? But then, I mean, if you say the same thing and you want to say Barry Bonds versus, Juan Soto, I think Bonds is going to outperform Soto over the next 10 years. Like I think his iconic cards and his most important cards, his essential credentials, his stuff from that era,
PMGs, his 24 carats.
Yeah,
but they're already so expensive.
But why? That doesn't mean they can't go
not
up.
Relative to Soto cards. They're not.
I personally think there still is room in that market. I have gotten into it as of late, and I very much enjoyed it. And I actually would rather buy those cards than ultra modern.
So the one thing that's really interesting, that's a wild card in all of this, is how nostalgia drives purchasing. We talked about Garbage Pails Kids and all this other stuff. And with baseball's popularity, baseball cards popularity was already fading by the time these really cool cards were coming out, whereas basketball and football card collecting were peaking during that era. So now it's a question of whether or not people who never collected from, let's call it 96 to 2003, have an interest in discovering that era and those cards and these types of, things like the video we did on 90s stuff with you guys, or if they're just always going to say, I don't really care at all. Give me my PSA 10 junk wax cards and then give me my ultra modern Bowman Chrome autos, and everything in between I could do without. That's a possibility. But I think people who were baseball fans during all that time are going to gravitate toward all-time greats, Randy Johnson, Clemens, even maybe start getting into, I don't know, like really unique Johan Santana stuff, and just players who were good for a number of years could see their stuff spike up from those eras as modern baseball card collectors reminisce about the past.
The only thing I'll say, we can move on. I see what you both are saying. Absolutely. Well, I see what all three of you are saying. It's just so much easier to know what to go for of everybody, including like random obscure players back then. Like Ty was mentioning, that it's just everything in 24 carats of every player is going to be worth thousands of dollars because they're so rare.
Mhm.
Like my point is just the way it's moving, and it could be a bubble, right? We see bubbles in every type of industry market every once in a while, but it feels like the growth is relatively organic. There's a few things that are concerning, but it'll be interesting. That's why I wanted to ask. So last question will be quick. I know it's long. It is, Fanatics is doing a better job with Topps than Topps did by themselves. So since Fanatics purchased Topps, they've done a better job with the brand, and Topps is in a better place. This is a tough one because if we say one thing, everyone's going to bash us in the comments. If we say the other thing, are we being honest? I don't know. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Wow, we got the whole range. I want to put 4, but I hate what they've done with like parallels. But like other than that, like marketing, growing
But
the
Parallels was
industry.
already going that way, so
It was.
that's
So
your only
that's-
complaint.
Chris
Yeah.
is just mad they got rid of Stadium Club Chrome.
I am mad at but the parallels, I don't mind at all. Like they want to grow the hobby. They want to make more cards for more people to buy. It means more parallels. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not going out there ripping hobby box after hobby box and getting mad about my, fecal fractor out of 2. Doesn't matter to me. But the thing that bothers me, the prices is what that's the number one thing that is why I'm down at 2. Like these boxes cannot continue to cost this much, or they will shrink the hobby instead of growing it.
Well, do you think that's a Fanatics issue, or is that just what Topps would have done too?
It was already going up.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know if that's my thing too. It's the same thing with the. I don't think that it was a trend that is because of Fanatics necessarily.
I do like the marketing. The marketing is great. Like there's actually commercials on TV for sports cards. Julio and Acuna had really funny ones this year. The Hobby Rip stuff is great. Fanatics Fest sounded awesome. Like
that stuff got me the extra point or 2. I would have been 2 or 3, but what they've done in the last year on the marketing side, that's bumped it up and given me hope that there is going to be a little bit more collector interest or collector driven marketing, which is cool.
Yeah, the Logo Fractor, I think we talked about this on our last Blabbin last Thursday. Logo Fractor boxes have been announced. They're coming out. And it's $100 a box now. Or you get 2 packs of Logo Fractor in there. And then you get 5 packs of just base chrome crap.
Yeah.
$100.
That sucks.
That's just absurd.
It's more than that. Last year, it's like 175.
Well, is that
no. The logo, they're just little blasters for Logo Fractor.
Maybe they came out in another product as well, but the one we're talking about
60 or 69 last year.
And then before that, it was like 40 or 50, wasn't it? The first year they did it.
First year, yeah.
Okay, Ty, bring us home. We have to wrap this. Bring us home. Why do you like or not like what Fanatics?
Well, I'm going to bring it home and point out, brace yourselves for price appreciation, because Topps Panini Donruss Optic is about the closest analog to Topps Chrome, I would say, in terms of what the product offers and the configuration. And this 2023 football is $720 a box, basketball $535, and everybody was PO'd about Topps Chrome being $250. And I'm telling you, you get more out of this, significantly more than you do out of this. It's crazy. So I am concerned about prices coming up, and not necessarily because Fanatics has anything to do with it, but because there's just so much money in basketball and football cards right now. It's unbelievable. So I think we could see products continuing to rise in price. I hope they maintain a certain ceiling on the more staple flagship type stuff. But I think overall, they're doing a good job. They're doing some stuff that's a little gimmicky that maybe I don't like. I do scratch my head at some of the specific, photos and other things that they do in certain products. I don't like that they got rid of Topps Stadium Club Chrome and certain other products. But in general, I think they're pushing the envelope. They're experimenting. They're doing different things. I know a lot of people want to grumble and be ticked off, but I think most of the people who grumble and are ticked off about different things don't actually understand business or how economics works or any of those things, because they just want every box to cost $50, but to have supply so they can rip as much as they want, while singles also exist, while there's only 5 parallels per product. And there's only so many variables that you have to flex in order to satiate overall demand. So I'm giving them a 4. I'm not at a 5 yet, but I do think they're doing better than average or better than Topps was doing, which I would have given a 3 to Topps on how Topps.
Can I just say one thing? Given the way that the sports card hobby market is, that I do like what they're doing. But in my utopia, still there would be competition. We'd still have multiple manufacturers. We'd have Upper Deck. We'd have Fleer. We'd have Donruss's its own entity, or Panini, all having the licenses. So I think that would create a lot more innovation, and the competition would keep prices a little bit more manageable. So I know that's a utopic view, and it's not going to happen, but
it would. It may, but at the same time, we had that in the 90s, and then multiple companies went bankrupt because everybody just got greedy and wanted to have their piece of the pie, and everything kind of went crazy. So on the flip side, maybe having one company in control with all the stake in the game forces them to make smarter decisions. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate on that.
I will say, though, in Jeff's defense, in the 90s, the reason why that era is so beautiful to me is because there's different brands and they all did different things because of the competition. If it was just Topps from the 90s, there's a couple cards that I like. But other than that, like, they're not Topps cards, the cards that I really enjoy. So I don't know. All right, well, let's wrap.
I want to bump up I forgot about one thing. So I'm going to go from a 2 to a 3 because I forgot about the MLB debut patch auto card. And I know that was a Fanatics idea that only happened because of Fanatics. And those cards that is a great idea. I really love that idea. And the fact that it's just in Topps Chrome update is everything they did about that is I'm bumping them up a point.
The player relationship that Fanatics has done with like the sport and then the players and the cards, it's been amazing. Something that players did not know about cards until the last 3 or 4 years, and now tons of them collect, and that's great to see too. So
yeah, one final thought I want to say, because people probably comment on this. It's not a vote for how great Fanatics is doing. The specific question was, is Fanatics doing better than Topps would have done on their own? So Fanatics has a long way to go, a lot of things to work on. Ty and Chris both touched on some of the things they can improve on. So they got a long way to go. But for now, I think we're going in a good direction.
All right. Well, thanks for sticking through this whole thing. Thanks for watching. If you like this type of video, I enjoy it. Let us know your statements in the comments that you want us to do next week. So something along the lines of Clayton Clark will be to the WNBA what Tiger was to golf. That type of thing. Put it in the comments.
Clayton Clark.
Okay. It's not baseball. But you get the idea. Sports card related.
Clayton Clark.
I can do a different ending if you guys
are this is staying in.
Always leave them laughing. That's a great motto.
All right. See you, everybody. Thanks for watching.